Hey guys, so in this tutorial we're going to talk how you can increase the conversion rate for your Shopify stores, so that way you increase the revenue per session for each of your visitor and you will increase the results that you get from your Facebook ads, because the increase in your conversion rate will also affect your ROAS. So the higher the conversion rate, the higher the ROAS, because ROAS consists of the ads and the landing page. So for that reason this is super important thing. So we're going to cover 3 things that you can do to increase your conversion rate, and we're going to cover as well some of the examples of great stores, how they have applied this to increase their conversion rate, so you can have inspiration when you're increasing your conversion rate of your Shopify store. So without further ado, let's get straight to the thing. So the first thing that will significantly increase your conversion rate is to have more clarity on your product page. So let's go through some of the scenarios that can happen when you don't have enough clarity on your Shopify store, and what I exactly mean when I said to have more clarity. So what I mean by not having enough clarity on your Shopify store is like your customers land on your product page and they don't know, for example, what is the shipping time. They don't know if you have the returns policy. They might have some product related questions, for example, what are the ingredients of your product. And if your customers just have too many unanswered questions like this, they just give up and they leave your product page without purchasing your product. So how to solve this? Your job as a marketer is to understand the questions your customers have and answer them all on your product page. So at that point, when your customers don't have any questions left on their mind, they place the order and you increase your conversion rate. So there are no tricks in increasing your conversion rate. It's all about answering these questions that are in your customer's mind. So for that reason, you should always optimize for the clarity and not for the beautiful designs. And you will see many 9-figure stores that have a terrible design of their store. I mean, not terrible, like they don't have like super nice design, right? But they are 9-figure stores and they know what they're doing, right? So for that reason, every time your customer lands on your product page, they have a set of questions. And if you manage to answer all these questions, the only logical step is just to place the order and wait for your product. And that's the win-win situation, right? So what can you do to improve your conversion rate regarding the clarity thing, right? You have to understand that the clarity will always beat the persuasion, just for the thing I've mentioned. Don't optimize for nice design, optimize for clarity. So when you're building your product page, you don't want to have the nice design on your mind. You just want, first you want to have the clarity on your mind. How can I answer all these questions and make my offer as clear as possible? Then after that, you can optimize for the design so your website looks nice and all the stuff, which doesn't really matter that much. It's the clarity that matters more. But as I mentioned, after you have all these things clear, that's when you can optimize for the nice design. The next thing you can do to optimize more for the clarity is to gather all the questions your customers ask your support team and have them all answered on your product page. So that's why FAQ is so powerful thing on your product page, because it just does what we have mentioned. It answers all these things, so it's very clear what you're selling, how you're doing it, how your service, product, whatever works, and that way you just increase your conversion rate. The third thing that you should do is to have the most important information above the fold. There's a huge percentage of people that won't even bother on scrolling all the way down unless they're looking for some specific thing. So for that reason, above the fold is your most important thing on your product page, and you should have all these most important things above the fold, like shipping time, refund policy, all that stuff. And that way you will increase your conversion rate, because many people won't even reach the bottom of your product page. So let's cover some great examples of stores, how they have utilized these things to increase their conversion rate. We have this brand, and as you can see, this is 8 or 9-figure brand. I'm not completely sure. And as you can see, their product page is super clear. Like, it's not a super fancy design. It's a very clear design. Their subscription feature is super clear. Pause and cancel anytime, free shipping on orders, blah, 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 and all these things. So super clear and no fancy designs, ingredients, FAQs. It's all there, icons with the text, which helps with consuming that information just much easier. FAQs are there. You can see the list of FAQs. These are the most commonly asked questions. They have started from the most common one probably. And yeah, clarity over the persuasion and the nice design. The next example that we have here, again, some brand in the cosmetics niche, and as you can see, like benefits and ingredients there right above the fold, FAQs again above the fold, clinical results here, how to use, very simple steps just to make it fully clear for their audience. And that's it. Like, this is, I think, 8-figure brand, and Very simple product page, no need for super fancy designs, and yeah. Let's go for the third example. This is Rich Wallets, and again, a super clear design, nothing fancy. A good place to position your value proposition, for example, how long your shipping is, do you have guarantees, refund policies, and all that stuff, is to have it just below the add to cart. This is called CTA anchoring, and that way you're empowering your most important button on the product page, which is the add to cart. You can also empower it by the social proof, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to cover this only the things that brings more clarity to the product page: lifetime guarantee, free shipping and returns, all these things, shipping, like you can see how long it takes them to ship the product. So these product pages are from very successful brands, and as you can see, nothing fancy, just very clear. That's how it's supposed to be, because you don't want to overwhelm your customers with fancy designs. You just want to be very clear with a good offer, right? So that's the first thing that you can do to increase your conversion rate. The second thing that you can do here is, so there's a good chance that your product and your product page is just too expensive, but not in the way you think. So to help you understand this, let's go through the scenario where your customer lands on your product page. So your customer lands on your product page from the social media, and as you can know, people, when they are on the social media, they just kind of turn off their brain. They just want to mindlessly scroll and don't think about anything else. So they land on your product page from the social media with that state of mind where they don't want to really do anything that's really hard, but they land on your page because they saw your ad, that they liked the product and stuff, and they land on your page and they find your text very hard to read, or they find your offer very hard to understand. So at that point, when they face any of these two, they just leave your product page because they don't want to bother with it. It's too expensive for them, but not from the price point. It's more from the energy point, right? So they don't want to use the energy to understand your offer. And so for that reason, they just leave your product page and they abandon the process of purchase. So for that reason, what you can do to increase your conversion rate so this doesn't happen to you. So the first thing you should do is to have easy to read text. Don't use complex words. And to make your text very easy to read, you can use this free app. It's called Hemingway app, and I will show you on the example how it works. So I've just opened the Hemingway app, and let's get some text, for example, from the Rich. Let's go for this text, for example, and we paste it into the Hemingway app. And Hemingway app lets you know how hard your text to read is. If it's 7th grade or even 8th grade, it's okay. You want to aim for 5th grade or something like that. The easier your text is, the more people will read it and stuff. So for that reason, it's super important to have very easy to read text. And if you start using some very complex words, or your sentences are just way too long, it will increase the readability level, and that way you know that you should do something to make it easier to consume, easier to read, so your customers get to read what your product does, and that way you convert more of them. So that's the first thing that you can do to increase your conversion rate regarding this. And the second thing is to have a clear product page. Don't over design it. Just as I mentioned in some of the previous examples, optimize for clarity, then do the design, because the clear product page that's easy to navigate will beat the beautifully designed one anytime. The third thing that you should have is to have a very clear offer. For example, if you have the subscription options. So let's go once again to this brand, and you can see how their subscription feature is just too easy to understand. Like pause and cancel anytime, free shipping on orders over $40, money back guarantee. So it's like delivered every 1 month. So I see many brands having this subscription just like too hard to understand. And if something is hard to understand, and there's a percentage of people that will not understand it, and that's the percentage of people that end up not buying your product. And so for that reason, clear offer, easy to understand is the way to go if you want to increase your conversion rate. The third thing that you can do to increase your conversion rate is to have a good offer and communicate it effectively. And this is the most important part, because if you really nail down this part right, all these things that I've previously mentioned, I can't say that they don't bother, but if this is like really good thing, you will have the high conversion rate and people will just buy because it's a good offer. So this is the most important part. So we all know the offer consists of the value minus the cost, and what you want to do is to maximize the value and minimize the cost. So how can you maximize the value of your offer? By communicating the benefit. If you're selling, for example, some specific product and people don't understand what they get from that product, or they have to guess or stuff, their perceived value will be lower, because people buy because of what the product will help them with their life, not because of what the product contains. And for that reason, benefits are superior to features, and you should always be communicating benefits of your product, because that's what your visitors are interested in and not the features, right? You also want to communicate features, but first thing that you want to communicate is how it benefits their life. The second thing that can maximize the value of your offer is the social proof. So it increases the perceived likelihood that it will help them. So if your product has over 2,000 positive reviews, of course, the perceived likelihood that this product will help them with the benefit that they're looking for will be higher than if your product have 10 positive reviews. So you should show your reviews for that reason, to increase the perceived likelihood that it will help them with solving it. Also, you want to show the images of happy customers using your product, because if they see other people that are happy with your product, that will perceive that if they use your product, they will also be happy with it. So for that reason, you want to show images of happy customers using your product. So this is how you can increase the value and the perceived value of your product. How can you minimize the cost of your product? By having the refund and returns policy, you reduce their fear of loss, and they know if they don't like the product or it doesn't fit them, they will be able to return it, and they won't lose anything. So just by doing that, you reduce that fear of loss, because it hurts more to lose something than to gain something, and you just want to minimize that fear of the loss from them, and that way you just reduce their perceived loss. So the second thing that you can do to decrease the perceived loss and the perceived cost, right, is to have payments in installments. So that's why the rise of Klarna and Afterpay was significant in previous years, because it helped the conversion rate increase, because the perceived loss of $20 per month is just way less than paying $200 at once. And for that reason, you want to have all these things once again above default, because those are the most important things for your customers to decrease their loss, and also you want to maximize the perceived value. So these are things that you should have all above default, and that way most of your visitors that on your product page will get to understand these things. And if more people understand your offer, how good it is and all that stuff, you will increase your conversion rate and you will get higher returns on your ads. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. If you're an brand that's doing at least $50,000 per month, reach out to me in the link below. We help e-commerce brands scale profitably with Meta ads, conversion rate optimization, and Klaviyo email marketing. We guarantee an increase in your revenue without decreasing your profit margin in the next 60 days, or you don't pay. So that's it for this video. See you in the next one.